Everyone, very good morning. Shall we begin the session? Today's topic is chapter number 5, before research. In the last class we have finished with the chapter number 4. Yes, main focus is on the Alberta School of Education. But the main chapter is what are the various programs of study, or what are the various curriculum links or the syllabus links that is used in this chapter that provides the references to the research skills found in the program of the study, elementary programs of study, social studies, science, language arts, maths, social studies, grade 7 science, and yes, all these are included in the Alberta School of Education or Alberta Education Program of Study. And there are multiple stages over here, same stages: planning, information retrieval, information processing, information sharing, and the evaluations. These are the 5 stages, and these are the subjects that shows or that is used to describe the Alberta School of Education. So when we say about the stage 1 planning, so just understand the questions or the problem, develop the research questions as well as the procedures. Yes, it is used to identify the alternative resources also, demand, supply, whatever the tool that is used. Then understand the problem. Then stage 2 is information retrieval, that is gathering and organize the information. Then science is the research. Stage 3 is information processing. So this interpret the information, develop a conclusion or solution to synthesize the data. Then reflect and decide, and at last there is a developing a plan or develop a plan. This is stage 3, information processing. Then stage number 4 is information sharing. So that sharing will include the communicate effectively, take action, carry out the plan. Then stage number 5, evaluation. Evaluate the decision and the process. That is, look after or look back the content. What should be the content that is used for the effective communication with the peers entity. So now come to the chapter number 5, that is the before research. What is the teacher preparation or the student preparation before taking the research skills? First question is the same. What is the main motto? What is the main objective of studying this chapter? So teachers who are inexperienced in integrating the research activities or the curriculum activities, that will find this chapter very relevant, interesting. So this is before the research. So what will I find in this chapter? So what are the various content that is available in this chapter? First is how to plan a research activity. Then guidelines and consideration for a research activity. Then a simple research activity unit plan. So how to plan, how to use a research activity, how they gather the information, then what are the various guidelines and the consideration for a research activity, then a simple research activity plan. This is one of the pictures that shows how it is doing the research, that is before research. What is the perception? That is one of the main point is planning. So planning is a way of caring because it minimizes the risk. Whenever we plan something that should go suitable. So it is a way of caring because it minimizes the risk. So how do we link the pieces of the research skills puzzle together? So careful planning and the judicious use of some key concepts, suggestions, and the forms will bring this puzzle closer to the competition. So whatever the skills, whatever the resources, whatever the possible criteria, that will be used with the key concepts, suggestions and the forms. And many TRM, that is the teacher resource manual or material, for example, contains suggestions for that use with the stages of the research, and that is how the curriculum based solutions that will help you put into the theory. And when we integrate the research that is into the curriculum, it's also evolutionary. Teachers who are new to integrating research activities that also begin slowly, and teachers and the students experience a positive development in teaching method and the skills. The commitment to integrating research skills will also increase, will also use for the TRM, that is the teacher resource material. Now, how do I work with someone else to initiate the research? So the ideal condition for developing a research unit occurs when team teaching or the cooperative planning occurs between the teacher librarian and teacher or the between teachers. And the following description of the cooperative planning has been adapted from the social science grades, and this is also used with the teacher librarian and the teacher or the teacher learning. So the first is the cooperative plan. So cooperative planning of a unit or mini unit involves a teacher and the teacher librarian that uses the library as a primary resource. And first step to set up the objectives for the unit and plan the activities with the teacher librarian. So whatever the library skills they use, whatever the integrated plan they use, so extra resources, whatever the extra person that is used, that allows for the variation in the group size, example the whole group, two teaching groups or the small group. So that depends on the planning to planning, that depends on the person to person or the resource persons. An example from the topic foreseen in which the students are expected to learn about the similarities and the difference between the algebra, between cubic, that shows what are the various possibilities for the cooperative planning. So student must give the suggestion to the teacher, that is how they look together in the, or how they doing together in the groups, or they come up with a list of the similarities and the differences between the algebra, cubic, and the teacher and the teacher librarian also circulate to assist the teachers. Then when it is used as a class or the result or a student that come up with a composite list. Composite list means including each and everything, including the geography, including the resources, occupations, leisure activities, languages as well as the custom. As well as the whole chart of these categories is made by the teacher or the teacher librarian during the discussion. And with the help of this, the student reproduce it in their notebook. So that means whatever the tool, whatever the categories, whatever the documentation they are using, so they are using the documentation in terms of the categories of the teacher librarian that circulate with the composite list. So the teacher and the teacher librarian, that is the team teaching, explains to students that they will complete their chart as they work through the four stations. What are the four stations? One is the viewing station, one is the interviewing station, then listening station, and the reading station. So grouping of 3 to 5 students proceed to stations where they gather the information for their chart, where they proceed, and the teacher and the teacher librarian circulate and help the students. So example is viewing the students. That includes the pictures, that includes the film strips, video films, then listening station, audio tapes, recorded interview, then recorded the stories or the articles, then interviewing station, that includes the resource person, people, then reading station, that includes the reference books, articles from magazines. This is in the curriculum planning. Okay, so just take 2 minutes or 3 minutes maximum to read out this curriculum topic. Any doubts anyone till here, till the curriculum links? Now these are the 4 stations in which the 3 to 5 children are grouped together. There are 3 to 5 children or students proceed to stations where they gather the information for their child. And the teacher and the teacher librarian both circulate and help the students in terms of the viewing station, in terms of the listening, interviewing, and the reading station. So when we say about the viewing station, that is to view pictures, film strips, videos, films. Then listening stations, that includes the audio tapes, recorded interviews, stories or the articles, whatever the stories that have been recorded here earlier, whatever the stories, whatever the articles, whatever the participants, whatever the audio tapes. The next is interviewing stations. That includes the resource people. Resource people include who are the people that are involved in the resources, that is involved in the process of the interview. Then reading station. Reading station includes the reference books, articles from magazines. Reference books includes what are the books that is used for the reference to the another subject, and what are the various magazines that is included in the articles. The next is the teacher planning process. So how teacher plans for something, how teacher plans for cooperative planning. So cooperative planning of a unit or mini unit with a colleague, so the group of the teacher or team of teachers should be approached in the same manner as with the teacher librarian. There is no difference between the same unit, there is no difference between the mini unit with a colleague or the team of the teachers. That should be approached as the same as it is used in the teacher library. But the main difference is that, so except that two or more classes are now involved. And in case of the team planning approach, each student brings special talents that can be used, that can configure the or divide the labor and lighten the workloads. And after the unit planning is complete, each teacher adapts the units to the needs of the student. Whatever the need of the student, that should be adopted. That should be, we can say, the multiplied with the colleagues or the team or the teacher, that should be approached in the same manner. This is the picture that shows how they are working together. This is the cooperation between the teacher and the student. But if what I have to done is that if I'm all alone, the teachers who are not new to the integrating research are advised to focus on the teacher-directed approach to implementing the research activities. And whatever the research activity they are using, it does not have to include all the stages and the skills. For example, a teacher can provide the information related to the planning stage to the students, and then our students exercise the stage 2 information retrieval skills of locating resources. And this approach is an effective beginning to the research activities only if the skills is integrated or a skill is integrated with the classroom activities, the classroom information. For example, if class is studying dinosaurs, students should be asked or could be asked to locate the various types of resources. That may be a printing resources, that may be non-printing, and the human resources, which are available in their school or the community. And in this situation, students must be given instructions, that is how to locate the resources or how to locate different types of resources in another class. And the resources could be gathered ahead of the time, and the student must be taught information processing skills or another aspect of the research continuum. So these approaches are used to integrate the research, that is provides a focus on the teacher-directed approach. And in another class, the resources could be gathered ahead of the time and students could be taught information processing and also another aspect that will be given of the research continuum. Now, if I am hooked, how do I start? So curriculum objectives, what should be the curriculum objectives? Student need resources and the research skill that must be considered when planning for the research. Now there are multiple stages. Stage 1 is curriculum objectives. Stage 2 is student needs. 3 is resources. And last stage number 4 is research skills. These are the stages that is used with the planning, information retrieval, information processing. That I agree. But these are the stages that is used with the curriculum needs, student needs, resources, and the research skills. That must be considered when the planning for the research is taken out or it is used. So the main part is content, or the main motto is for the curriculum links, curriculum objectives. First stage, for example, what must I teach? What are the second stage is what are the needs of the students? Then stage 3 is what are the various resources that is available. So what resources are available? Then stage number 4 is implementation of the research skills. What skills should I teach? Whether that is relevant to the students or not. So one is the curriculum objectives, one is the needs, one is the implementation, one is the resources. So some steps are also used that mirrors the research models and the stages, and they have proven to be successful when implementing an introductory level teacher-directed research activities. So these steps mirrors the research model and the stages and that have proven to be successful when implementing an introductory level. So first is the curriculum objectives. First must I teach? What are their needs? What resources are available? What skills should I teach? That is the research skills. Now these stages will include with the understanding of how it affects or how it is used or how to adjust the people, resources and the research activities. So as a curriculum objective, students needs research implementation. So some steps. So some steps that mirror the research model and the stages and that have proven to be successful when implementing an introductory level, that is the teacher-directed level research activity. So first is the stage 1, planning. This planning includes decide in advance until you begin your research breakthrough. Decide on the scope and the end product of the research activity. What is the end product? What is the scope of the research activity? Then stage 2 is information retrieval. Then select the appropriate resources and plan for their use. The research activity must help you to be redefined at this point to take into account available resources. Then stage number 3 is information processing that determines the order in which the unit and the research activity will be taught, and which research activity, which research skills will be stressed, where that is the classroom, library, etc. and the activity will occur. So stage number 1 is planning, where you're going to research breakthrough, what is your scope and the end product of the research activities. Then select the appropriate resources and the plan for their usage. Then research activity may be defined, may be deflashed, may be used, may be redefined at this point to take into account available resources. Then determine the order in which the unit and the research activity will be taught. And which research skills will be stretched, will be used, and which for the where the activity will occur. Where means, yes, either classroom, either library, either room, either computer lab, anything. That introduce the activity to the class as an integral part of the classroom studies. Then monitor the students' work as they apply the related research skills and evaluate the student work on an ongoing basis and determine the appropriateness and availability of the resources and the success of the research activity. Then engage or encourage the students to self-respect, that is self-awareness on an ongoing basis. Then decide on the methods, what are the methods they are using, what are the curriculum they are using for improving the objectives of the assignment, focus on increasing the students' autonomy. So these skills, these research model and stages that have proved to be successful when implementing the introductory level, that is the teacher-directed research activities. So stage 1 is planning, information retrieval, processing, sharing, evaluation. That will be included, that will be used to begin your research breakthrough. That decides on the scope and the end product of the research activities. Then select the appropriate resources and the plan for their use. And this research activity have to be redefined at this point to take into account available resources. And this order will be used for the unit and research activity that will be taught in the information processing. And that is an integral part, important part of the improving the student activeness or the student's motivation. So monitor the students' work as they apply the related research skills. Then evaluate the student work on an ongoing basis and determine the appropriateness and the availability of the resources and the success of the research activity. This should also encourage the student self-evaluation on an ongoing basis. Then next is decide on the which method, on the methods of improving the data, improving the objectives of the assignments, focus on increasing the students' autonomy. This autonomy includes, we can say, what are the various students' feedback, what are the various students' categories that is used to improve the objective, that is used to improve the categorizing of making the students aware about the assignment part, about the objectives part, resources, and the success of the research activities. And then that will be also used for the self-evaluation, also used on an ongoing basis. So what do you have to help me with my research activity? What you say, what you do, what you tell. So stage number 1 is planning. That is plan something, plan out the material, plan out the required resources, then information retrieval, how we can retrieve the information, then processing, how we can process, what is the meaning of information processing that is carried out for the information material, then sharing of the information, how we can share the information among each other, among the colleagues, then evaluation, how we can evaluate on an from the student point of view, from the teacher point of view. It is also used as an ongoing basis activity and determines the appropriateness and availability of the resources and the success of the research activity. That should be determined, that should be used with the self-evaluation on or the self-motivation. These are the 5 stages that must be used as preparing for the research. These stages will be